Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karl Chan. I'm the founder and CEO of Sourcy. We're an agentic AI sourcing platform that helps consumer brands turn ideas into products. And today, I'm happy to be here to share a little bit about our lessons learned implementing agentic AI in a B2B setting. Hopefully, it will be helpful for all of you. So what is agentic AI? If you are like me, you have tried looking up the definition of agentic AI online, and it's very confusing. I think the easiest way to understand what an agentic AI is by telling you what an agentic AI isn't, right? So traditional LLM, even if you add a reasoning layer on top, like a chain of thoughts reasoning technology, is still basically a next token predictor, right? It's giving you recommendations or prediction based on the user prompt that you have input. It literally cannot do anything, right, other than recommendation. Later on, if you add on a tool element to it, if you ask the AI to follow a predefined workflow to use different tools to achieve a goal, it's much higher in agency now, but it's still not truly agentic per se, right? The next stage is actually allowing AI to plan its own actions, right? So an agentic AI is really able to understand the environment around it, plan its own action, execute, and then reflect. That's an agentic AI, right? And then, of course, you can also take it one notch up and think about a multi-agent system, right? When you have one orchestrator agent asking different sub-agents to do different things, and that's even higher in agency. So an agentic AI, in summary, is really an autonomous LLM application that can plan, execute, and reflect, right? When you think about it, it's deciding its own trajectory. And it's also executing its own actions without human nudging it all the time, right? And that's amazing. And if we talk about agentic AI, we just have to talk about MCP, Model Context Protocol, right? What exactly is it? I'm pretty sure all of you have heard of it, heard of this term before. And an MCP, you can think of it as a way for the agent to make use of the different tools, right? It's basically a protocol or a framework for the agent to understand what are the tools that are available, how to use the different tools the right way, and then basically execute and call on the different tools, right? So in summary, you can think of an agentic tool is looking into the different toolboxes. So each MCP server is a toolbox, right, with different tools available in it. And then it will find the right toolbox. It will find the right tool within the right toolbox. And then finally, it will use the tool the right way. That's what an MCP is used for. So now with the basic out of the way, right? How is Sourcy implementing agentic AI in real life? Before I talk about Sourcy, I want to tell you a little bit of a short story, right? Zara, the pioneer in fast fashion, right, launched 30,000 products in 2024. Shein, however, a Chinese company, launched 2 million products in the same year. How can Shein launch 70 times more products than Zara, right? It doesn't have 70 times more sourcing agents or designers. The way to do it is through AI, right? And what we believe in is we can democratize this AI superpower for countless small and emerging brands, right? And we are also observing the same trend across other categories as well, be it home and living, beauty and cosmetics, and baby and mom. So why do we need an agentic AI platform for sourcing? Let's first think about when an agentic AI shines, right? An agentic AI shines when there is a very tedious workflow, when there are a lot of unstructured data, and that's exactly sourcing. Traditionally, when a small brand is trying to develop and source a new product, what it does is it goes to different data analytics platforms, find the trends, and then go to different sourcing sites, maybe fly to Guangzhou, to Canton Fair, use different offline agents to find thousands of different manufacturers, and then negotiate bilaterally with each of the manufacturer one by one. And then finally, if you're lucky enough to find the right deal, you still have to arrange the logistics, all the hassles until the product arrives, right? By the time you can launch a new product and go to market, it's already 6 to 12 months. But then at Sourcy, we're using agentic AI to help consumer brands, small and medium emerging brands, to really use one single source, a consolidated super supplier, as we call ourselves, to turn idea into product and sort much smarter, faster, and get higher margin. So here is how it works, right? So like our users are the emerging brands, right? Like be it a merchandiser, a founder, a head of supply chain, and then they interact with Sourcy in two ways, either through our customer portal or through our Shopify app. And then when they propose a sourcing request to Sourcy, right? Let's say I want to source the most viral tennis skirt and go to market with it under my own brand. What our sourcing agent would do is to orchestrate a set of sub-agents to turn this idea into a reality. So how exactly does it work? Let's say our master agent, in this case, right, is the orchestrator. It's basically taking in the requirement and understand what needs to be achieved and plan out the action so that the sub-agent can then carry out the action and achieve the goal, right? So it starts by looking at the trends, right? What is currently trending on e-commerce and social media? So it will orchestrate the trend sub-agents to go to different e-commerce sites, social media platforms, to look at what is trending, what are the top sellers, what are the top features amongst the top sellers, and what are some of the things that consumers are asking for that are not currently available yet, right? This is defining the trends. And then thereafter, the master orchestrator agent would then call on the next set of sub-agents to turn this trend and idea into a manufacturable product, right? And it's through doing deep research on the product category, as well as fetching our proprietary database, which is a knowledge graph database. And then thereafter, once we are able to pinpoint specifically what specs need to be manufactured in order to turn this product into a reality, we then have another set of sub-agents, right, that are actually talking to the suppliers, giving them instruction, telling them what is the target price, negotiate with them, and then finally finalize the order and have the order made and shipped to our customers. So from an idea to a reality, we can achieve everything within 1 to 2 months. And throughout this whole process, what is the most important is our master agent, right? The orchestrator agent is actually interacting with our memories. What is our memories? It's the thousands of successful and unsuccessful sourcing requests that we have processed in the past, so that it can actually learn from its own mistakes and get better over time. That's how we implement Agentic AI. It sounds perfect on paper until I tell you about all the lessons learned, right? So here we go. The first lesson that we have learned is not all AI should be agentic. And agentic AI really shines under 4 conditions, right? Number 1, when you need a very versatile system, when you cannot predict all sort of queries that you're going to get, right? That's when an agentic AI shines. Number 2, the cost of error cannot be too high, because if your cost of error is going to cost you the whole business, you don't want your agent to just wing it, right? You want to predefine the workflow for it to follow and gatekeep and even have human in the loop, right? Number 3 is you cannot really specify all the ideal steps ahead of time, and you want the agent to figure that out, right? That's also a prerequisite, because if you can really map out all the ideal processes, chances are it's better off to have a workflow than an agent. And then finally, the use case cannot be overly latency sensitive, right? Because like an agent needs to think, it needs to fetch different tools, and sometimes it takes hours, if not longer, right, to finish a task. If that's the case and your user is waiting for you in front of the laptop, then that's not ideal. So just understand, agentic AI is amazing, but only under certain circumstances. And if you don't trust me, trust Andrew Ng, because he also said the same thing. And then number 2 is a dumb AI can actually orchestrate very smart AI very well. Initially, we were under the assumption that, our orchestration layer should be the smartest, right? We should use the most powerful model, give it the most number of tools, as well as give it the most autonomy. But our experience told us that actually that's not the case. At the very high level, you want to implement more guardrails, and you want to have as much of a predefined kind of like instruction as possible. Yes, you still give it the autonomy to make decision, but at the high level, you want to give it enough guidance. And that's because that's also the gatekeeper, right? That's the gatekeeper before your result go to your user. You want it to be following your ideal definition of good, right? Whereas like the sub-agents that are working for the agent, they can do anything they want, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to leverage the power of autonomous AI, and then you can implement that at the sub-agent level. Number 3 is what we call the impossible trinity. We realize that at the end of the day, an AI agent can only achieve 2 out of 3 things at the same time, right? Versatility, capability, and reliability. If you want a very versatile AI that can handle a lot of use cases, chances are it cannot do too much. It cannot be too powerful, or else it will not be reliable. Or if you want the AI agent to be very powerful, it can do a lot, then chances are it cannot be too versatile and handle too many use cases, right? Or else it will not be reliable. So like, pick your battles, decide which way you want to go with, and then don't fall into the middle part, right? When your system is not reliable, that's the worst. The way we think about it at Sourcy is, at the orchestrator layer, we want it to be very versatile. But that particular orchestration agent doesn't have to do too much. The only thing it does is routing and basically calling on different sub-agents. But at the sub-agent level, we want it to be very, very capable. And chances are, when you achieve that, the sub-agent is not very versatile, right? So that's how we are thinking about this. Number 4 is complexity equals chaos. When you have a very big agent, right, it's very hard to have observability and very hard to reproduce results and basically debug, right? It's also very hard for you to implement evals across the whole process. So our advice here is spin off a sub-agent whenever possible, whenever you see enough of a complexity in the task that it is doing. Number 5 is size doesn't matter, right? Like we have tried using a very complex agent and a very simple agent with a bit of a reflection element in it, right? And very often, if the task is not that complicated, the simple agent outshines the bigger agent, right? And it's just like sometimes the smaller models outperform the bigger models for simpler tasks because the bigger models tend to overthink. So always increase the autonomy or increase the power of your agent when necessary. Number 6 is more tools are not always better. Like at the very beginning, we try to put all the tools in one monolithic like MCP server, right? Like agent, go crazy. We have all sort of tools available to you. And chances are, just like human, the agent will have decision fatigue because it doesn't know which tool it should use and which tool it shouldn't under the different scenarios. So try to set up different toolboxes, different MCP servers that contain different tools so that the agent will not have decision fatigue. Number 7 is write better tool description, right? Just like a human, agent needs to learn to use the tool. And ideally, you can tell them exactly when and when not to use the tool, right? By giving positive and negative examples. Number 8 is memory matters. The agent needs to remember what is happening for the ongoing query, as well as what has happened in the past that it should be aware of, right? So the more it can learn from its experience, the better is the performance. Number 9 is don't do too much on the fly, right? Whatever pre-processing and pre-caching you can do that first. Because like agency is great, but then it also leads to latency. And you don't want your user to be waiting for too long. And then finally, and then most importantly, LLM can still make very dumb mistakes. So like one of the examples that we have is we ask our agent to pick a fabric type that fulfill our customer requirement, which is organic cotton denim. Right? And then the agent was thinking that, oh, because cotton can be organic, so this cotton must be organic. And it's like the dumbest mistake that it can make, right? So just understand, as much as we hype up AI, LLM can still be quite dumb, and we need to be very careful and introduce guardrails. I know we only have limited time, so I was like kind of like breezing through all the different mistakes that we have made. But if you want to learn more about how we are implementing Agentic AI, please visit our booth over there. And then also, please stay connected. Thank you very much.